You know, the network, the producers and all the staff, we kept saying, Mother, we need a studio. We need a studio. We can't produce unless we have a studio. So I asked our maintenance man to put white rags around some trees. And he said, well, how many? And I said, well, just go 50 by 100. And put around these trees a white rag. And so some bishops were coming by, about 7 or 8 of them coming for Father Bagnano's series. And one bishop said to me, what are those white rags? I said, well, we need a studio real bad. We don't have the money. So it's a reminder to the Lord that that's where we need the studio. And he said to me, don't you think he knows? I said, oh, yeah, but it don't hurt to remind him. And he looked at me and he said, does it work? I said, yeah. Oh, he said, that's interesting. So nothing happened. Another week passed by, and a man came down. He said, what are those white rags? So I told him my story, and he said, interesting. Next day he comes down. He said, look, my wife died, and he said, I'm getting close to it. He said, I'll give you $50,000 to begin. So we took down the trees, and I bought boots and shovels for all the people working here, and we began to dig the foundation, 50 by 100. Well, it didn't go very far, you know. So a friend of mine came along, and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm building $50,000 worth of building. That big? I said, yeah. He said, that's not going to go far. I said, well, I'm further ahead than I was. Isn't that true? Huh? I mean, all I had were trees before. You know, men don't think straight, do they? Huh? I mean, they don't think the way women think, you see. And to me, I was ahead. At least I had the trees down, and I had 3 big foundations, and I thought, well, I'm further ahead than I was a month ago. He said, why don't we raffle a car? And I said, oh, where are we going to get it? I'll get one. I said, fine. Great. So nothing happened for quite a while, and this man used to go to Mr. Sayre, who's got a big Chevrolet company here, and it's Mike Rinda, and he said, you know, Mother Angelica needs a car, we need to raffle a car. The man was horrified, didn't know me, didn't know the monastery, it could care less. And he said, no. So poor Mike, every week he'd go back asking for this car, you know, brand new car. We weren't looking for a little jalopy, you know. Finally, the man said, look, I'm going to go, and I'm going to see my mother in California. I don't want to see your face when I get back. Do you understand? Yeah, don't get excited. I just want a car. Well, you're not going to get a car. I said, okay. So he goes to California, and he's there drinking a cup of coffee with his mother, and he says, you know, Mom, everything's gone crazy this day. He said, a perfect stranger walks in my office and wants me to donate a brand new car to some nun. And his wife looked at him and said, what nun? He said, I don't know, some Mother Angelica. So I said, who'd you say? She said, Mother Angelica. And she looked at him and she said, give her that car. She said, when your father died, that was the only consolation I had. Give her that car. So he comes home. He don't know where the guy is. Don't even know his name. So good old Renda gets back again. You know, he's undaunted. Good, hard-headed Italian. And he gets the car. So we got $23,000. So we keep going up. See, we never stop. We just keep going up a little at a time. And now we're building $73,000 worth of building. So then I get a letter in the mail, and it said from Foundation, and it said, we're going to give money to television entities. Would you like to give me a proposal? I said, whoopee. Here we go. So this is a very, very special roof. It's made almost like an erector set, so we didn't have any pillars or posts around. And so I filled out this form, and I was absolutely positive that I would get the money because they asked me for a proposal. So I ordered the roof, like $25,000 worth of roof. Well, some month or so passed, and they wrote me a letter saying, well, we're sorry, you know, our budget kind of ran out, and we can't give you the money. And I thought, I got this big roof coming. So I was invited to Washington, D.C. for a state dinner. And there was Cardinal at our table. And she said, how you doing, Mother? And I said, rotten. He said, what's the matter? So I told him my sorrowful story about the roof. Oh, he said, how much do you need? I said, $25,000. He said, I'll get it for you. So he leaves the table and calls up this man in Pittsburgh. And he said, he'll send you a check Monday. So I said, thank you, Jesus. We got the roof. Well, we put the roof on, and it was leaking everywhere, see, because it wasn't finished. But you see, we started. And I learned from that God doesn't give you the whole building at one time, you see. That's kind of the new way. See, get all the money together, and if you're doing something for the Lord works one step at a time, one step at a time. So one day, I was in Atlanta, and the roof is leaking, but I was happy. I was happy we had a building, and I didn't care how much the roof leaked. Eventually, we get it fixed. And the sisters called and said, Mother, there's an elderly couple here, and they insist on seeing you. So when I got home, I invited them, and they had a kind of old car, and so I spent the afternoon with them, and we fed them, and I showed them around, and I said to sisters, let's give them a boxed lunch. You know, they don't look like they can afford to go to a restaurant. They got a long way to drive. So we took a shoebox, and we filled it up with whatever was soft, because I thought, you know, elderly people can't always chew apples, you know what I mean? So I gave them some bananas and bologna and all this good stuff. So we sent them off, and Monday I get a call. And this woman said, my mother and father-in-law were there on Saturday. I said, oh yeah, we had a great time. She said, well, we had a board meeting this morning. I said, a board meeting? You mean that old couple had a board meeting? I didn't tell her that, but I was thinking. And she said, yes. She said, we decided to give you $150,000 to finish the building. Well, if you'd have had a feather and hit me with it, I'd have fell over. Because I thought they were an old couple on Social Security, and they must have laughed when I gave them bologna and bananas. But that was how this studio was built.